Hello, everybody. This is CJ Wiley with More Adventures on the Road. Back when I was 19 years old, I was traveling around and going all over the country, basically looking for action. And one of the places that had the most action was Detroit. A place called the Rack, which was a private club. A lot of millions of dollars passed hands there. There was one guy, Rosenbaum, that lost 15 million plus. He was quite a character, flying weapons for the government down to South America, and then flying the empty planes back to Detroit, and had $15 million to lose. So anyway, who knows what was going on there. I first got to Detroit and had about 2,500 in jewelry that was worth probably $3,000. I went to the Rack and ended up playing a few games and staying up longer than I should, and ended up playing Johnny Ross, who I gave the 8 to, playing 9-ball. And he eventually beat me out all of my money. So I went back to the hotel room that I had, put my jewelry away, and decided to go next door and get some breakfast. When I did, I came back to the room and went to sleep. So when I got up, I actually looked in the drawer where I had my jewelry, and it was gone. So between the time I went to eat breakfast and coming back, I guess a maid or somebody, who knows, took all my jewelry. So now I got like no money, no jewelry, and I had to wire home for $500, which my mother was nice enough to send me. It felt like I was really admitting defeat. It was not a good time for me. So anyway, I got the $500. The guy told me that I could go down and play at this bar, where the guy that owned it was kind of a sucker, but he had one thing that he liked to do. He liked to play people that used this stick that didn't have a ferrule and didn't have a tip. So I went down and went into that bar. It was just a little bar, had like, I think 4 guys sitting around drinking, and I just went up to the bar and said, "I'm really good. Is anybody as good as me?" That's what I like to do. And they looked at me kind of funny and said, "Good at what?" And I pointed at the pool table, and I said, "That pool game over there." And they kind of laughed, and one of them said, "The owner will play you if you use the stick." And the other ones laughed and said, "Yeah, get the stick. He'll play with the stick." So the bartender reached up in above where the bar was and pulled down this cue stick that had, again, no ferrule, no tip. Right about that time, the door opened, and in came a guy I didn't know at the time, but realized it pretty quick, who was the owner. And the guy, the drunks at the bar, the beer drinkers, they weren't drunk yet, but they yelled out, "Hey, this guy wants to play you with the stick." And I was like, "Oh, wait. I'm not going to play with that thing. That's crazy. It doesn't have a tip and doesn't have a ferrule." So the owner came up and said, "You looking for action?" And I said, "Yeah, I like to play. I'm really good." And he says, "Well, if you're really good," he says, "you're going to have to use that stick." And I was like, "Well, I can't play without a tip." And the owner said, "Well, I'll give you a handicap playing 9-ball." So we agreed on the 6-ball playing 9-ball. So he gave me the 6 and the 9 playing 9-ball, and we started playing for $50 a game. Well, I actually played pretty good with that stick, and I just kept kind of grinding it on the floor, and each time I broke, like pieces of the stick would fall off. So I was just worried about running out of stick before we were finished. Anyway, I beat him out of 20 games, so that was $1,000. And naturally, the guy didn't have any money, but he said, hey, if you want to ride over to my house, I'll get you your money. So I'm thinking, oh boy, what's going to go wrong now? I was already so down on myself. But you know, he took me to his house. He came out with 20 brand new $50 bills, gave them to me, and I was off to the races. I got in my car and I went back to the rack and got a pool table. Up there, you got to practice for free, but if you actually got into a game, they took a percentage depending on who you were playing. So, but anyway, Johnny Ross, who had beat me out all my money, came up to me. He said, hey, listen, kid. He says, we got a game for you. This guy named Cletus will play you. And anyway, that's another story. But I will tell you, at the end of that day, I had beat Cletus out of 18,000. So I'll tell you the rest of that story. That'll take another... It's funny, actually. So anyway, that's my rags to riches story in Detroit. And I'll tell the other part here very soon. If you want to hear more of my stories and find out my systems, fundamentals, and techniques that I use to become one of the best players in the world, join me at masteringpocketbilliards.com. And I'd like to help you raise to your highest level of capabilities. But you do got to know the secrets that the champions know to speed up that process. Anyway, I'm CJ Wiley, over and out.